My childhood, framed by the strict doctrines of the Jehovah's Witnesses, was overshadowed by a singular recurring nightmare, a visceral manifestation of the ultimate test of faith, Armageddon. It starts as just another day in the neighborhood, but the air quickly fills with the scent of impending doom. The sky darkens, turning a deep, angry red, as if bleeding from its very seams. Then, without warning, fireballs start raining from above. It's the end, Armageddon, the day of judgment I've been taught about for as long as I could remember. I'm running, my child-sized legs pumping as hard as they can, trying to escape the chaos that's erupting around me. The streets of my neighborhood, once familiar and safe, are now an inferno, a war zone between divine wrath and earthly existence. Fireballs crash into homes, incinerating them in seconds, the air filled with the screams of the doomed and the roar of destruction. Amidst this hell on earth, angels descend. They're not the comforting figures of bedtime stories, but the executors of divine selection. They swoop down, their hands reaching out, but not for everyone. Just a chosen few, those deemed righteous enough to be saved from the apocalypse. I see faces I know among those being lifted away, their expressions a mix of relief and divine ecstasy. But no angel comes for me. The fear is palpable, a heavy weight in my chest that makes it hard to breathe. Why aren't they coming for me? What have I done or failed to do to be left behind? The teachings were clear. Only the faithful would be saved. Had I not been faithful enough? Was some childish misstep my damnation? As the nightmare continues, I dodge fireballs, the heat searing my skin even as I manage to escape direct hits. The world around me is a blur of fire and ash, screams and despair. It's a vivid tableau of what I believed Armageddon to be, filled with the terror of being judged unworthy. Just as I'm about to give in to despair, convinced I'm moments away from being consumed by fire, I feel it, a hand on my back. It's the touch of an angel, finally here to save me. The relief is overwhelming, a flood of emotions that washes over me in an instant. But then I wake up, drenched in cold sweat, heart pounding in the darkness of my room. The nightmare is over, but the fear lingers, a reminder of the deep scars those childhood teachings left on me. So deep that I had to pause many times while relaying this nightmare to you, to stop and cry. As a child, these nightmares felt like a preview of my fate, a direct consequence of the fear instilled in me by my religious upbringing. They were more than just dreams. They were a nightly trial, a test of faith that I was doomed to fail. And now, as a middle-aged man, I realized the true horror wasn't the fiery apocalypse or the judgmental angels. It was the realization that, as a child, I was taught to fear an unforgiving deity, to see myself as inherently unworthy of salvation. Reflecting on these nightmares, I understand they were born out of the teachings that shaped my earliest perceptions of worth, sin, and redemption. They were a manifestation of the terror of divine judgment, a visceral expression of the fear of being left behind, deemed unworthy. Even though I've moved on, the memory of these dreams and the feelings they evoke remain a part of me, a dark reminder of a childhood overshadowed by the specter of Armageddon. As dawn breaks and the remnants of the night's terror fade into the light of day, I sit in the quiet of my home, a middle-aged man far removed from the child who once trembled under the weight of nightmares. Yet the echo of those dreams lingers, a somber reminder of a past steeped in fear and foreboding. It's a story that I used to think was mine alone to bear. However, the revelation that many others share similar scars has opened a floodgate of realization and reflection, prompting a deeper exploration into the roots of these shared nightmares. The religion of Jehovah's Witnesses, with its stark imagery of Armageddon and the end times, plants seeds of fear and anxiety from a tender age. The vivid depictions of a world consumed by fire and brimstone, of divine judgment meted out with unforgiving precision, are not just abstract concepts. They are presented as imminent realities, the ultimate culmination of human history as we know it. For a child, the boundary between metaphor and reality blurs, and these teachings become the stuff of nightly terrors. As I've shared my story, a chorus of voices has echoed back, each a variation of the same theme. From the far reaches of different continents, across cultures and languages, many of my viewers have reached out to relate their own experiences of nightmares steeped in the apocalyptic teachings of their childhoods. Each story is unique, yet the underlying current is unmistakably the same: the fear of divine judgment and the terror of being deemed unworthy of salvation. These narratives form a tapestry of trauma, woven from the threads of doctrine and fear. They reveal a troubling aspect of religious education that prioritizes the preparation for an impending doomsday over the nurturing of faith and love. The emphasis on Armageddon, on the constant vigilance against sin to ensure one's place among the saved, casts a long shadow over the concept of a loving deity. Instead, the God of these teachings is a figure to be feared, an omnipotent observer ready to mete out punishment for the slightest transgression. For a child, whose understanding of the world is still forming, the impact of this indoctrination can be profound and lasting. The nightmares we experience are manifestations of the inner turmoil wrought by these teachings. They're not just dreams, but a nightly rehearsal of the apocalypse, a test of our worthiness that we are doomed to fail because the criteria are nebulous and the judgment absolute. As I reflect on these shared stories, I'm struck by the realization that it wasn't just the content of the teachings that left such a lasting imprint, but the method of their delivery. The use of graphic imagery, of vivid descriptions of the end times, serves to imprint these scenarios onto a child's psyche. They become internalized, a part of our subconscious that rears its head in the vulnerability of sleep. Moreover, the communal reinforcement of these beliefs, where questions or doubts are often met with further indoctrination or even shunning, compounds the effect. The social environment within such religious groups can create a feedback loop, where the fear of the end times is both a personal and collective experience. It's a cycle that's difficult to break, as questioning the doctrine can mean risking one's social and familial connections. The realization that my experiences were not singular, but part of a broader pattern has been both sobering and enlightening. It's led me down a path of deeper inquiry into the nature of religious teachings and their impact on young minds. The stories shared by my viewers have underscored the importance of critical thinking and the need for a supportive environment where questions are encouraged, not suppressed. This journey of reflection and discovery has also been a process of healing. Understanding that I was not alone in my nightmares has brought a sense of solidarity and community. It has allowed me to view my past through a different lens, to see the nightmares not as a personal failing, but as a natural response to the environment in which I was raised. In sharing our stories, we not only find a shared path to healing, but also raise awareness of the need for a more compassionate approach to religious education, one that fosters love and understanding over fear and judgment. It's a call to re-examine the narratives we pass down to the next generation, to ensure that they are uplifting rather than terrifying. The nightmares of my childhood, once a source of fear and isolation, have become a catalyst for connection and change. As I look forward, I am hopeful that by continuing to share our stories, we can pave the way for a future where faith is built on the foundations of love and understanding, rather than fear and judgment. It's a long road, but one that we walk together, strengthened by the knowledge that we are not alone in our journey from darkness into light. But it isn't the concept of a destructive Armageddon alone that instills fear in the children of Jehovah's Witnesses. Yes, their teachings are deeply rooted in the interpretation of biblical scriptures, with a significant emphasis on the end times or Armageddon. And this is not merely a theological point, but a central pillar around which daily life and education of children orbit. The depiction of Armageddon is not abstract. It's vivid, detailed, and presented as an imminent event that could happen at any time. This belief system inherently prioritizes preparation for the end over almost all else, casting a long shadow over the innocence of childhood. The concept of Paradise Earth, a world renewed after Armageddon where the faithful will live forever in peace, is taught alongside the destruction. However, the path to this paradise is fraught with conditions. One must live a life in strict adherence to the teachings, constantly vigilant against sin and the influence of a world deemed to be under the control of Satan. For a child, this worldview can be incredibly burdensome. The natural curiosity and exploratory behavior typical of childhood are often viewed through a lens of suspicion and potential for sin, leading to an environment where fear governs behavior more than understanding or love. Children are taught from a young age to engage in preaching work, to be different from their peers in significant ways. No birthdays, no Christmas, no participation in many social activities that are common in the broader community. This separation, justified by the need to remain uncontaminated by the world, can lead to a sense of isolation and difference, embedding an us versus them mentality that further exacerbates anxiety and fear. The judicial system within Jehovah's Witnesses also plays a significant role in fostering a climate of fear in the minds of children. The practice of disfellowshipping, where members are excommunicated and shunned for behaviors deemed sinful, looms as a potent threat. The possibility of being cut off from family and the only community one knows is a powerful tool for enforcing compliance. For a child, the fear of such outcomes, either for themselves or for loved ones, can be traumatizing. Witnessing, or even just knowing about disfellowshipping proceedings instills a deep fear of making mistakes, of stepping out of line, and the profound consequences that can follow. Meetings and assemblies reinforce the narrative of impending doom and the necessity of vigilance against a hostile world. Stories of biblical characters who face dire consequences for their failures are often highlighted as examples to live by. The message is clear. Deviation from the path can lead to dire, even eternal consequences. Such an environment where the stakes are eternally high can stifle a child's ability to grow into a well-rounded and psychologically healthy individual. Personal study and family worship sessions further ingrain these teachings. Children are encouraged to read and study literature that often contains graphic descriptions of the end times, including illustrations that can be quite disturbing. The cumulative effect of these teachings, reinforced across multiple facets of life, can lead to a constant state of alertness and anxiety. This high alert state is not conducive to a healthy childhood. Children thrive in environments where they feel safe, loved, and free to explore the world around them. Fear-based teaching can stifle curiosity, dampen joy, and create barriers to forming healthy relationships both within and outside the religious community. The focus on sin and punishment can lead to a distorted view of oneself and the world, where the expectation of divine wrath overshadows the potential for divine love. As I've engaged in soul-searching and reflected on these aspects of my upbringing, I've come to understand the profound impact they've had on my psyche and those of countless others who have shared their stories with me. The realization that fear was a constant companion in our childhoods, dictating our actions, shaping our thoughts, and coloring our dreams is both saddening and enlightening. This reflection has also sparked a deeper inquiry into the nature of belief and the responsibility of religious communities to nurture the well-being of their youngest members. It raises questions about the balance between teaching faith and instilling fear, about the ways in which we prepare children to face the world around them. And looking back, it's not just the nightmares that stand out, but the moments of doubt, the internal struggles, and the silent questions that were never voiced for fear of reprisal. It's a journey of understanding that, while the intentions might have been to prepare us for what was believed to be an inevitable happy future, the methods employed left scars that have taken years to heal. This soul-searching journey is not about casting blame, but about seeking understanding and healing. It's a process of reconciling the past with the present, of recognizing the strength it took to question, to seek, and eventually to find a path that leads not to fear, but to peace and self-acceptance. It's about acknowledging the resilience of the human spirit, capable of overcoming the deepest fears instilled in childhood to forge a life defined not by the shadow of Armageddon, but by the light of understanding, compassion, and hope. For those of us who have walked this path, the journey is both personal and universal. It's a testament to the power of sharing our stories, of finding common ground in our experiences, and of supporting one another as we navigate the complex terrain of faith, fear, and the pursuit of a truly carefree and nourishing environment for the children of today and tomorrow. But what about you? Did you suffer from childhood nightmares growing up as one of Jehovah's Witnesses? If so, what were they like? Please share your story with others in the comments. If you appreciated this video, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel to be notified about future videos. If you'd like to support the work I'm doing, please click the join button below. If you don't see the join button, click the link in the video description to become a channel member. And as always, thanks for watching.